Welcome back to another Music Student 101 episodes recap. Solidify your knowledge of music theory and ear training. And reminisce on times past with your hosts, Jeremy Burns and Matthew Scott Phillips.
Welcome back to another episode of Music Student 101.
Welcome back.
I'm Jeremy Burns.
I am Matthew Scott Phillips.
You know, it's time for another recap episode.
It is.
And on these recap episodes, we have a lot of content and limited time, so we will forego the social section.
We will try to get right into it.
But just know that we fully appreciate our listeners who take the time and consideration to review us, write to us, and help us out keeping the lights on with one-time donations and with Patreon subscriptions.
Thank you to all of you.
And also, before we get into this episode, I do think a happy birthday is in order.
Oh.
For our fearless and knowledgeable Dr. Matthew Scott Phillips.
Thanks very much. I turned 23.
23. Great year.
Plus a couple.
Give or take.
Give or take.
Well, how was it? Did you do anything special?
Well, I was actually at the beach with my family all last week when my birthday happened. So it was swept up in general beaching and things. Yeah, which was not a bad thing. It's always great to be at the beach, especially this time of year.
Yeah, very relaxing.
Oh, yeah.
Down in the Gulf of Mexico.
Indeed.
Where the beaches are bright and white.
Bright, white, and the beach where my family goes is very, very uncrowded. It's kind of undiscovered. Hence, I will not mention which one.
Yeah, right? Don't want to give away the secrets.
Yeah, I kind of like to keep it that way. But yeah, so there was like us and there was like one other family staying nearby, and so we just had this whole big beach, and we were just hanging out. And
that's the way I'd rather do it. Don't be surrounded by a bunch of people, oily, loud people.
Yeah, there's a lot of beaches along the Gulf Coast, which is not far from where we are, and they're very, very, very popular. So finding any level of seclusion is challenging.
Totally.
Yeah.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, good grief.
Well, again, happy birthday and many more.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so where we last left off on the last recap, we that was on episode 70. I guess we determined that our listeners will have achieved the Theory 3 level of knowledge.
At which point was that?
By about episode 70.
By about yeah.
Something like that. I think we said that in our last recap.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm learning as I continue my own music journey that different people have different ideas of what Theory 1, 2, and 3 should look like individually. So, so some of you have much more than a Music Theory 3 level knowledge at this point, depending on whose rubric you're using.
Yeah, totally.
But suffice to say, fair, if you've successfully assimilated everything up to episode 70, you probably know more music theory than most people.
Yeah, totally. Who aren't paying heavily for it.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's move on continue with the theory then, shall we?
Let's do that.
Because on episode 71, we did modulation to distantly related keys.
We did.
And on episodes 50 and 69, we spoke extensively on modulating to closely related keys and some ways that can be accomplished.
Right, yeah.
And by then, we already learned that a modulation is a change of key.
Essentially a key change, yeah.
Matt, can you recap us on what a closely related key is?
So a closely related key is going to be one that's no more than, most people say, 2 positions away on the circle of fifths.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if I'm in G major, right, 1 sharp.
1 sharp.
Right. My closely related keys are going to be D major, which is 2 sharps, or C major, which is no sharps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So either you add a sharp and get to D, or you take away a sharp and go to C. So, and maybe outside of that, going to, again, depending on who you ask, going to F, which was take away the sharp and add a flat, right? Or going up to A, which is all the way to 3 sharps. But that's about it. Those are our closely related keys. And they're relative minors, of
Okay,
course,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So D major or B minor, it's relative, C major or A minor, and those are easy to get to. Usually, what the most common way described is by use of a pivot chord, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if I'm in G major, I go to the 6, which is E minor, right? That turns out that is the 2 in D major. So I just pretend that 6 is a 2 and go 2, 5, 1 in D, and boom.
Pivot
that was
chord.
easy.
Yeah. Also, so it's easier in general, is what I'm getting, that to go to closely related keys when you're trying to modulate.
It's so easy that you can do it. You can do it accidentally. If you're just kind of playing around, you might mess up and end up a fifth away from where you started.
And that's why a lot of people go to the 5 when they're in the classical music, when they're modulating to another section. It usually goes to the 5 because that's just one accidental away.
Yeah, it's just one really easy to get to. And then there's also all that sort of deep level philosophical form and analysis stuff about 1 and 5 being sort of the alpha and omega of tonality and the axes that everything revolves around. So
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go.
Well, now we speak of modulating to distantly related keys and some of the ways that can be accomplished.
Yeah. So distantly related keys, which is anything further away than the circle of fifth and that, can take a little more creativity.
I have a few methods that we talked about in that episode. One,
I bet.
You talked about pivot chords. What about chromatic pivot chords?
Chromatic pivot chords. So, for example, reinterpreting a 5 of 5 as just 5. So, I'll keep with my G major thing. If I'm just, that's an actual thing. So, but if I'm in G, and then I go to a decent 5 of 5 chord, which right? So that was 5 of 5 to 5 to 1.
So if G, move into A major, move into D,
right?
back to G.
Yeah. So one example of a chromatic pivot chord.
G, 1.
Yeah, and then A
would be the 5 of 5.
Yeah, but I'm going to just think of that as 5. And now I'm in D.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Very easy chromatic pivot chord. But so you can see how you can use these 5 of chords to get, kind of anywhere, right? So 5 of 6, and just make that 5, and now you're in 6.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Or, 7 of 2 or whatever, right? And then you just become into the key of 2, right? Yeah. I don't know if I can do that. I can try. But
and I guess that would be a chromatic pivot, 7-chord pivot chord.
Yeah, so
leading tone pivot chord.
And now I'm in the key of A major from G. So that jumped pretty far away, right?
Yeah, 3 sharp, three accidentals.
I wonder if I can get into E major so I can and then 6 chord, right? But let's make that a major 6 chord. And then right, and into E minor, or 4 sharps and 1, added 3 sharps, so I can get a little further away on the circle of fifths using these chromatic pivot chords.
Very nice. And then we also talked about enharmonic reinterpretation of the German 6 chord, and I'm sorry, the augmented 6 chord.
Enharmonic reinterpretation of the augmented 6 chord, right?
But for some reason, we did focus on the German plus 6 chord.
We focused on the German augmented 6 because if you respell the notes, it is a 5/7 in a key a half step away.
Aha.
So I'll be in G major. What is our German augmented 6 chord in G major, Jeremy?
Okay, you're going to have scale degree 1.
Going to have scale degree 1.
So there's a G.
So going to have a G.
You're going to have a sharp 4.
Going going to have a sharp 4.
which I guess is C sharp.
C sharp.
You're going to have a flat 6.
B flat. Or E flat.
And then because of the Germanness of it, that's also a flat 3?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's our German augmented 6. And if we interpret this as German augmented 6, it might do something like...
To 5 and then 1?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But if your oral skills are good, you notice this is also a 7 chord, right?
Dominant 7, yeah.
Yeah. So this is E flat, G, B flat, D flat, which could send me into the key of A flat. Right.
So you went from G to A flat, huh?
I went from G to A flat.
Which is what, 3 or 4 accidentals?
Oh, it's a lot of them. So you have to take away the sharp and then add 4. So that's 5 spaces away. Yeah.
4 flats is A flat. What am I talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Gracious alive.
So yeah. So you can use I used all the same notes. I just, instead of thinking of them as E flat and then G, B flat and D sharp, I just thought of that C sharp rather. I just thought of that C sharp as D flat. And I've got E flat, G, B flat, D flat, right? And that's E flat chord.
And that's what we're talking about when we say enharmonic reinterpretation.
Yes, that's what enharmonic means, sharp or flat, different, same thing. And so we reinterpret enharmonically.
And I think you just touched on this, but just to seal it off, just to seal the deal, the enharmonic reinterpretation of the fully diminished 7 chord.
Oh, isn't that a good one?
Yeah. A lot of discussion to be had on that fully diminished.
Much discussion ensued.
I call it the magic portal chord.
The magic portal chord. Because a fully diminished 7 chord, we'll use the same one. How about that?
Sure.
Let's say I just, I'm in G, and I want a fully diminished 7 of 6, right? So 6 is E, right? If I go E flat and then G flat, right, which is, and then B double flat, which is A.
All a minor third apart.
Yeah, and then D double flat, which is C. This is a fully diminished 7 chord.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, traditionally we might have managed to get that to, 7 of 6 go to 6. Right? And then we could have gone, 2, 5, 1 from there. But I can take this chord, and because these are all minor thirds, you can't really say which of these is the root. So right now we're doing E flat, G flat, B double flat, D double flat. But if I start on that G flat, B double flat, D double flat, and F double flat, right? Same notes, but now it's a G flat fully diminished 7 chord, right? So I could go to right, G minor or something.
Yeah.
Or I could take that same chord.
Yeah, I guess technically would you call it F sharp if it's leading up to G minor?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the enharmonic reinterpretation part.
Yeah, that's
right?
the enharmonic reinterpretation part. Yeah. Thank you for keeping me. Because then it'd be F sharp, A, C, E flat, right? Yeah, because it'd be an F sharp diminished. Good catch.
Thank you.
F sharp fully diminished.
Sometimes I pay attention.
moving to G minor,
Nice.
right? Or I can start on this A and A, C, E flat, G flat, right? And move to B flat major, right? So long story short, I can move a half step away from any of these notes, and that's a logical resolution of that fully diminished 7 chord. Because the fully diminished 7 chord is symmetrical, right? There's no perfect fifth in it. So which one of those is the root of the chord? Yeah, whichever one you decide is, really.
Yep. Doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah.
You can go to 4 different places from the same chord
Yes.
And that's why I call it the magic portal chord.
Yes. And imagine not just reinterpreting 7 of 6 as 7 in the key of B flat, but imagine reinterpreting 7 of 6 as 7 of 2.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to B flat minor, right? And that lands you in the key of what? A flat.
A flat, yeah.
Yeah.
Wild stuff.
A half step away from G minor.
Sounds like this was a useful episode to listen to, huh?
Oh, yeah. Was this one of the ones we did back in the COVID days?
We're actually approaching that pretty soon.
Okay, yeah. I thought we were getting close to that. But
Spoiler alert.
I remember doing this over Zoom.
This is, let's move on to the next one, shall we?
Yes,
That
let's
was
do that.
episode 71. So episode 72 was the Schumann resonance.
The Schumann resonance.
We took a deep dive into physics, albeit with our limited diving equipment.
Right. And interpreting different, if I remember correctly, interpreting different harmony or different tuning systems and, does matter resonate at a certain frequency and music ought to reflect that. And
Very close, yeah. The standard tuning of 440 hertz had its debut in Italy back in 1885 CE.
right.
And it made its way to the States in 1917 and finally became internationally recognized in the 1950s.
Right.
However, some argue that, at least on this planet, that a more musically pure, I hold up air quotes, system might have resulted had we made 432 hertz this standard,
Right.
with not a lot of scientific evidence.
Not a whole lot. There's something about 432. Isn't that the resonance of...
Well, yeah, their reasoning being that the Earth's atmosphere acts as a resonating chamber between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere,
Uh-huh.
and that the waves resonating within this are the result of lightning strikes that occur around the planet, on average every 44 times a second,
Right.
and that the sum of these frequencies vary but average out to about 7.83 hertz, aka the Schumann resonance,
Right. Okay.
discovered by Winifred Otto Schumann back in 1952.
So not the composer Schumann.
Nope. I'm glad we cleared that up too. When looking at the frequencies in the neighborhood of concert pitch, the most resonant frequency within these overtones of the Schumann resonance would be 432 hertz rather than 440.
Yeah.
So we kind of go down this little rabbit hole, and
Yep.
we had a physicist write in and kind
Write
of
in.
help us correct a few things, and we
Yeah.
made those corrections.
And we appreciate that.
And now, I wonder something now differently that I hadn't thought about when we were doing about this episode. That might not really, a lot of people may or may not notice the effect of playing something in 432 versus 440. Although I wonder if perfect pitch people can.
That's a good question. And, perfect pitch is kind of a spectrum. Some of them probably could.
Yeah.
I know I see a lot of YouTube videos nowadays of ambient music that's supposed to be at 432 hertz because it's supposed to be more calming or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It's all relative to me.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was a fun one. We don't talk about that kind of stuff a lot.
No,
We're
don't.
not physicists, but we try and take a stab and try and make it relatable for our listeners.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about whether or not you're rushing to tune all your instruments to 432 now or not. It's fun to talk about.
Yeah, see what you guys think. Check out episode 72,
Yes,
the Schumann resonance. Shall we move on?
indeed.
Okay, episode 73 was another harmonic progressions episode, and this was part 7. And I know we were just talking about the secondary diminished 7 chord, but that was the focus on this one.
Oh yeah.
So here we had another fine ear training episode on chord progressions. This time it's on secondary diminished 7 chords, always based on the leading tone of the chord to be tonicized.
Right.
And by the time we do an ear training episode, be it on melody or harmony, we've already released a corresponding theory episode on it.
Right.
So we've kind of talked about it. In these ear training episodes, we recap the theory and then have Matt play chord progressions while I notate and decipher them.
Jeremy Torture.
AKA Jeremy
Torture.
I get my pencil, which is key because there will be erasing, and my notation paper, and Matt gets a piano, and I get 4 or 5 listens depending on how my ears are feeling at the time and on the day.
That is super fun.
But on a good day, here's how the 4 listens would go. First listen on these harmonic progression episodes specifically, I listen for the bass and I try and notate it. Second listen, I'm listening for the soprano or the melody, and I try and notate that. And by the third listen, if my ears don't have it, I can use those 2 notes in each chord to maybe use my theory brain and figure out what chords are going on here.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
And my ears too, hopefully. And then by the fourth listen, mainly it's for confirmation, aka check your work.
Mm-hmm.
But typically I'll need another listen by then. Hey man, can I just get one more?
One more. Come on, one more.
So yeah, man, and as we mentioned earlier, the secondary leading tone chord lends itself to modulations to dissonantly related keys. And
Absolutely.
I don't know if you did any modulations within these 4 or 5 chord progressions, but it wouldn't surprise me if you did.
That would be pretty evil.
That's all game. But
I've been known to be a little evil.
You've been known to be a little forgiving though too.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, that's the harmonic progressions episode, and this is part of our ear training situation. Moving on, shall we?
Uh-huh.
Episode 74, this was on solfege.
Right.
And thanks to the fact that I was reared on the number system in regards to melodic analysis, the solfege system didn't really get its fair share until this episode.
Right, yeah.
Now, Matt, this is the melodic system that you were reared on, so why don't you tell us a little bit about it and maybe some pros and cons?
So, the solfege system for learning... it's a system for ear training, like what you refer to as the number system, where you learn to match a note to a particular syllable. Now, whereas the number system, as you learn, basically starts out by numbering the notes of the scale. 1, so that's our 1 is 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right.
Yep.
Solfege does the same thing, but with different syllables. And if you've ever seen The Sound of Music ever in your life, you know what these syllables are. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, mi, sol, mi, do. Right? So it is by matching these pitches to these syllables, we remember them better. And we can learn the intervallic distance between do and mi or re and fa, right? And in so doing, sort of orally understand anything written in major or minor scales. So pros and cons.
Oh, also, shouldn't we mention that there's a minor and a major version?
Oh,
right?
absolutely. So there are different syllables. So if you flat the third as you would in a minor scale, mi becomes may.
May.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And T becomes te. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, le, te, do. La becomes lay, etc.
That's really cool. And I can see where me almost sounds more major than may, which feels more minor. It's just the consonants.
Yeah, wait till you spent 20 years hammering this stuff into your brain, and may absolutely sounds more minor to you. Yeah.
Pros and cons.
Yeah, pros and cons. So one of the big pros is, as you were just saying, we don't have to make up weird. They're already weird syllables, so you just learn a new one for may. Or if you're in Phrygian mode, learn a new one for ra, which is the lowered re, right? So you kind of avoid this problem that the number system has, where you either have to go 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6.
Yeah.
Flat 6.
Flat 7.
Yeah.
Flat 7, that's 3 syllables.
Yeah, flat 7.
Yeah.
1. Flat 7, 2, flat 7, 1. Right, that gets a little complicated. So you either have to do that, or you have to basically do what solfege is doing and say something like thra. I think when I was getting my doctorate, we were all about the 1, 2, thra, 4, 5, 4, thra. 2, yeah.
That's just weird.
And they had different ones of that, like sa instead of 6, or yeah. And then of course everybody just has sev instead of 7.
Sure.
So you're having, you avoid that. You just, you can just continue using one-letter syllables because you're learning a bunch of syllables anyway. It's not a big intellectual leap or source of confusion.
Yeah. Switch out the vowel sound, basically.
Basically, yeah. And solfege also provide it supposedly helps you sort of sing better. It's better if you're trying to learn to be a better singer, because the syllables just stick in your brain and attach to your notes better than the numbers do.
Oh, won't you give us a demonstration?
No, thank you. I've already done too much as it is.
Go to the bloopers episode for that,
Yeah, really.
which we'll talk about later on.
But those are the pros, and it works very, very well in tonality.
Mm-hmm.
So so as long as you're so do do mi mi do so do ti ti re do ti la so,
Mm-hmm.
it works great, right?
Sometimes I wish I had been reared on that system, actually.
Well, but you get into anything not entirely tonal, Schoenberg or Stravinsky or something like that, and even some of the French, Debussy kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to work not so hot. Like the main thing about it that makes it really, really easy to learn major and minor scales makes it hard to learn anything else because these symbols lose all meaning.
Mm-hmm.
The number system, by contrast, doesn't really lose a whole lot when you start talking about atonal music.
Yeah, we talked about how there's not really a key of sol or a key
Right.
of do.
Yeah.
It's really more for melody than it is for harmonies and all around.
Yeah. Now, there's a key of sol in everywhere but the United States. The type of solfege that starts called fixed do.
Oh yeah, fixed do versus movable do.
Yeah. So fixed do is always C.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Whereas the in the system I was reared on, do is the tonic of whatever scale you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm playing in D, do is D, and re is E, and mi is F sharp, et cetera, et cetera.
That's movable do. Huh?
Yeah, but in fixed do is re, man. So you're going re, mi, fi, sol, la, sol, fi, mi, re.
That kind of sounds modal to me. It's almost like the modes.
Almost,
in
yeah.
solfege.
Yeah, and that's what's taught everywhere but the United States. The United States is pretty much the only country that teaches movable do. And you can see where at this point, numbers really can kind of help you integrate the theory aspect. It really helps you better understand, 1, 3, 5 as a tonic triad,
Mm-hmm.
right? And 5, 5, 7, 2, 5, 7, 2, 4 as a 5/7 chord, right? Because you're associating those numbers with the scale degrees,
Which is helpful.
Yeah, so it can enforce the theory
Mm-hmm.
much better, right? And as far as like fixed numbers, well, that's basically just set theory, and we'll get to it at some point.
Very good. Well, shall we move on then?
Uh-huh.
That was solfege.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say about that?
That's pretty good.
Okay. So episode 75 was Middle Ages Music Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
You may have noticed we have 3 main topics we discuss on the show. Probably in about the order of appearance would be theory, and then ear training, special topics like the Schumann resonance,
Yes.
and then a history.
Yeah.
Which
I still remember the day when we went out for a beverage and sat down and hashed out the three the big main topics we wanted to
that's a little bit
pursue in the podcast.
a little bit of our own history,
Yeah, a little bit of our own.
because we talked about this a couple of years before we even put out the
It
first
was
episode.
it was a good couple of years in the making before we actually sat down to record, because we hashed out all the things we wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We've exhausted all of that since.
Now we're just
But-
grasping at straws here.
We're winging it at this point, but yeah, we had a good couple of years at least worth of material.
Mm-hmm. Now, back in episode 33, we speculated on the dawn of music and how it came about.
Mm-hmm.
But we also brought some hard scientific evidence in terms of the time frames and locations of some of the first musical instruments discovered.
Indeed.
For example, a whistle made from the forearm of a griffin vulture in the Hohlefels caves in Germany, dating back to 35,000 years ago.
It's a long time.
That's circa 3200, 9092 BCE. And fast forward to the Middle Ages period, circa 500 to 1400 CE, when basically recorded music history began, right? Thanks to the church?
Thanks to the church, yeah.
Yeah.
In Europe.
In Europe, yeah. We talked about this, and again, most of the music we're talking about on this show is westernized tonal music
Largely westernized, yeah.
at this point.
Right now.
We'll branch out for sure. But we talked about plain chant.
Yes.
What's that, Matt?
Plain chant is a type of monophonic meaning there's just one melody, no matter how many people are singing, they all sing the same melody.
Mm-hmm.
Monophonic Latin chants that were recorded by the church.
Mm-hmm.
The most common example of which is called Gregorian chant.
Yes.
Now, those are the specific chants cataloged by Pope Gregory the First, I think it was. Whereas there are other plain chants that are not Gregorian chant.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the basic idea. If you know what Gregorian chant is, you're listening to plain chant when you hear Gregorian chant.
Gregorian chant is an offset of plain chant, huh? It's a type of.
It's a subcategory thereof, and really the most important one.
And where does recitation fit in with all this?
So if you've ever been to a Catholic mass, you can still hear them doing recitations when they just sing a whole lot of words on the same note like this, and then maybe trail off at the end.
Okay, so it's usually the priest that does that when he's like blessing the.
Absolutely, yeah.
Blessing the Eucharist.
Designed to say a whole bunch of words at once when the words are what you're sort of listening to, right? But it lends an air of mystery to those words because those words are usually sacred in some form. They're blessing the wine or praying for, something or someone or
mercy or blessings or whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's all saying in one. They don't go up or down. They just stay right here when they do that, except for the very end.
Except they'll trail off at the end.
Na 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 na.
Yeah.
Na 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 na. I remember all those. And then what about the antiphon?
The antiphon was a little more musical because it would precede something. It's sort of like the prelude to the mass or the prelude to a funeral mass or something like that. And there are particular antiphons used to precede particular things. And they didn't just hold out the same note like a recitation like that. They would they would sing more of a melody.
But they're all kind of standardized. Like this is the grief antiphon.
Yeah.
This is the.
There was one that begins a funeral mass. To this day, you can hear this. Beginning funeral mass called In Paradisum.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
In Paradisum.
Yeah.
And that's about all I know, but...
Well done. Hey, you sang, Matt.
Oh!
Gotcha.
Ah.
And also in this episode, we talked about the first known composer.
Hildegard von Bingen.
Yes, Hildegard of Bingen, an abbess.
The Sibyl of the Rhine. She was an abbess. She was a composer, a singer...
Circa 1098 to 1179.
Yeah, she was also a political expert, an author, allegedly a prophet.
Yeah.
She was a lot of things.
She was a lot of things, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And we also talked about secular music. We talked about her first piece, one of her first pieces, which and we speculated that she might have actually been the one who gave birth to the idea of the death growl. Right, because she had one of her plays involved Satan coming in, and they had to do.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, one of those things that I can't prove. I just want it to be true.
Yeah, totally. But we also talked about, like I said, secular music, which was non-church music from that period. Such as the Minnesingers of Germany.
The Minnesingers.
The Trouvères from northern France, north of France.
Yes, and the troubadours.
From south of France.
South of France. Oh, yeah. Love those. And they were all kind of the same deal. Troubadours, Trouvères, and Minnesingers. They were all sort of the same deal. They were basically nobles that decided they wanted to go around singing songs. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of where we get the idea of the bard, the modern day idea of the bard. Mm-hmm. It's not exactly the same thing, but it is close. And they would go around and sort of sing these. What in music appreciation is called secular songs, meaning they're not church songs. They're about love and romance and stories of old Greek gods, and most of them are about love and romance, and stories about Robin Hood or King Arthur are proliferated, and these people just sort of go around singing them, travel around singing, and playing the lute and accompanying themselves in courts and palaces and other places. And because they were educated, they wrote it down. So we have, some idea of what they were doing because they did, write down at least some of it.
Yes, and one name that came up from that period was Bernard de Ventadorn.
Bernard de Ventadorn, La Douce Voix.
Bernard de Ventadorn, huh?
Yeah.
And that was circa 1135 to 1194. CE.
Yes, this is the late Middle Ages.
Yeah. But anyways, that was a fun episode. I love the history episodes. I really do enjoy them.
Yeah.
And I was never much of a history buff, but now it seems I am.
Well, it just got to be explained in the right way,
Or it's got to be history and something you're interested in, which
that too.
obviously helps.
That always helps, yeah.
Well, shall we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 76 was transcribing a song part 1.
Right.
And in a rare occasion, we actually did part 1 and 2 back to back.
Yeah.
On this one, and I think there was a good reason for that.
Yeah, because we had this song that we were sort of transcribing, right?
Yeah, during these episodes, we took a great song, Dewey and Dora by Keith Andrews.
Which still gets stuck in my head sometimes.
Yeah, man. A testimony to the writer, one of our many talented listeners. And we kind of showed my process of getting the music from my ears to an easily read chord chart and then finally a lead sheet.
Right, yeah.
And first, what we did was we identified the key. We figured out what key it was.
Yeah.
We figured out the tempo and the meter,
Yeah,
what you calls it, time signature, key signatures.
all that stuff, yeah. And then, started, then basic chord structure.
So we started mapping out the sections and found a couple of meter changes and addressed those.
Yep.
Sneaky Keith. And then we figured out the chords and charted those as well. And on the website for this episode and the following one, if you go towards the bottom of the episode page, there's a link for an interview that I did with Keith regarding his songwriting process, which is a great little bonus that I don't think we've mentioned enough.
No, we absolutely haven't.
Is this the first you're hearing of it, Matt?
Kind of, yeah.
I put a lot of work into that. Check it out, y'all. And then moving on to part 2, which was episode 77, we continued finding out the form. In this case, we did it like intro, verse, chorus kind of format. And then we figured out and scored the melody of the lyrics and thereby completing our chord chart.
Yep.
Which then became more of a lead sheet at that point.
Yeah.
The difference between a chord chart and lead sheet, well, a lead sheet has measures and notation on it.
Yeah.
With the lyrics.
Usually notating the vocal melody.
While the chords hang overhead.
Yeah.
And finally, for a little bit of theory fun, we ran a harmonic analysis of this piece with our Roman numeral-based chord progressions,
Oh, I remember that.
Good times?
Good times.
So
Seems like I was really into doing that at the time.
Absolutely. And I think it's funner when the music is cool and interesting, like Keith Andrews'
absolutely,
music.
yeah.
So thanks, Keith, for donating your arts to our cause.
Thank you, Keith.
And you can hear Keith Andrews on Spotify, Apple Music, and all the other streaming services. So check him out.
Definitely.
All right. Moving on. Keeping this train rolling. Okay, so episode 78 was Melodic Dictation Part 2, which was major scales.
Right.
Now, a long time ago on episode 23, we covered melodic dictation.
Yep.
What is that, Matt?
Melodic dictation is the act of listening to a melody and then notating it out yourself, having not seen the sheet music.
Right, straight from the ether. And that was kind of a general overview of the process. But by episode 78, we had decided to dedicate a melodic dictation episode to all the scales and modes. So the most recent one we did was Locrian, just to give you an idea of all the ground we covered, by the way.
Yeah, all 7 of them.
But we had to crawl first, right? We had to learn to crawl.
Yeah, we had to learn Ionian mode, i.e. the major scale.
Exactly. And here's how we do it. This one, I get my notation paper and my pencil. Matt gets the piano. The torture begins. Matt gives me the key, the meter, and the starting note.
Yep.
And then on the first listen, I must figure out the note rhythms and kind of chart them above the staff.
Indeed, yep.
While doing that, I'm trying to have the contour of the notes in the back of my mind because that'll be the focus of the second listen.
Right, yep.
And how I do that is, like, if the notes go up, I'll just kind of make a note of it lightly in pencil over the staff,
Yeah.
And then I have an idea where it's time to fill in those notes, And the third listen typically will be used to chart the actual notes on the staff. And then, again, the fourth listen, it would be ideally the confirmation listen.
Ideally.
But sometimes I need a fifth listen for that, too. Especially probably when we got into that Locrian mode. Woo!
That was tough, man.
Tell me about it. There's nothing musical about that mode. Absolutely nothing. It's all a theoretical mode.
It's a purely theoretical mode.
Bjork would argue otherwise, actually.
And other people, too, I suppose.
I'm wrong.
I don't know.
Actually, we had a listener do something in Locrian mode, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
We did, indeed. I think he took up the challenge.
Yeah, it was Thomas Zarpels from that last listener compositions episode we did. But anyways, that's the gist of the melodic dictation episodes. That one was Ionian or major scale, easy peasy.
Yes.
79, modulating to distantly related keys, part 2.
Part 2.
Continuing our discussion on modulating to distantly related keys, we covered some new techniques, such as modulating with third-related triads.
Oh, yeah. The Neo-Riemannian analysis.
I'm a fan of those mediants. You want to tell us a little bit about that, Matt?
Mediant relationship. Okay, so, for all of this time, up until now that we had been talking about tonal harmony, it had been very circle of fifths based, right? 6 to 5 to 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe 5 of 5, which is instead of 2, just making it a major minor 7 chord,
making it resolve to 5.
Yeah, still resolving to 5, right? All of this very circle of fifths modulate. Well, somebody came along who was very smart, who realized that the difference between G major, for example, and the chord that was a third away from that, B minor, was only one note.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than modulating around the circle of fifths, you could just and then you're in B minor.
B minor. Okay. No big setup.
You just change a single note. 2 of their 3 notes are the same. Same is true for E minor from G major, right?
Yeah.
You just change the D to an E. So 2 of the 3 notes are the same in both chords. You're just changing one note, and you're only moving it by stepwise motion even.
Yeah.
Right? So we sort of played all of that out with diatonic mediant relationships like that, and then chromatic mediant relationships. So what if I wanted to go from G major to B major? Right? So we're relying on that one note being the same and changing 2, but still only by a half step.
Okay.
So, and especially in the era of 19th century chromaticism, this is very, very easy to do, right? Easier, arguably, than going around the circle of fifths.
Now, when these cats were doing it, were they actually taking the time to establish themselves in that new key, or was it just
sure, yeah.
Boom? Okay, so they did spend some time going 1, 5, and all that stuff.
Yeah, they would also just go from 1 to 3 within the same key. They would do both.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely. It became something very, very fundamental, really, to the music of Schumann, the composer Schumann this time. Schumann, Schubert, Mendelssohn, Chopin. It became very fundamental to what they were doing.
Love it. Love all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then the only thing I think, so we covered modulating with third-related triads and then chromatic triads, right? Third-related by chromatic.
Right, yeah. So they're the diatonic ones, and then the chromatic ones, which are just changing mode, so you don't have to be in the same mode, diatonic mode, right?
Yeah, and I had in my notes that a flat 6 is a key area for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
You remember why we talked about that?
Because it works to go not just to the 6/6, so not just to E minor, but you can also go to the flat 6, E flat.
Okay.
Right, yeah. So, and you can also go to the flat 3.
But there's not as many common tones. Is there just one?
There's just one.
Yeah.
In those. So it's a little bit more of a stretch, but still something that was very frequently done.
Hey, it still sounds cool.
Yeah.
If it sounds cool, it's cool.
Exactly.
I saw a quote that said, "We to study music, we learn theory. To write music, we break the rules," or something like that. We learn the rules of theory. To make music, we break them. And speaking of some rule breakers, segue into episode 80, Listener Compositions Part 2.
Listener Compositions.
So here we have our second official Listener Compositions episode. And we heard some fantastic compositions from listeners like Melody C. Gibson.
Indeed.
Ray Parker, Alex O'Hagan, Seth Hammond, Paul Olson, and Chris Waite. And then we opened the show with 2 original songs from Scott Jackson. Very smooth, very kind of indie folk kind of vibe.
Some of my favorite episodes of the Listener Compositions.
I concur. Starting on episode 70, we began doing Listener Composition episodes every 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So that's where we are now on episode 80. What we do is we share a little bit about our listener composers' backstories. Then we play their composition with no commentary. And then we discuss how they pieced it together and the tools they used. And then we play the piece again, and we discuss live during the piece the theory behind it, and then we give some shout-outs to the cool parts.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? If you're interested in being featured in one of these episodes, send your original composition to info@musicstudent101.com. We merely ask that your pieces are kept not much longer than 5 minutes in length, just for fair play time for everybody.
Absolutely.
We want to get at least 6 or so composers per episode.
Right.
And we got to play those pieces twice.
Indeed.
And aside from that, we judge not on production value,
No.
skill level, execution, sophistication, or complexity.
Yeah, we really don't judge at all when you get right down to it.
No.
We really just kind of listen and enjoy and
We just love that you're
make
making
helpful comments.
Yeah, we just love that you're making music and that you chose us as a vessel to share it
Absolutely.
with the worldwide audience. So what say you, listeners?
Indeed.
So come on, let us know. Send us some stuff. We already have a few good ones lined up for the next episode.
Can't wait.
Yep, that'll be episode 150 coming up too.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, now moving on. Our 81st episode was Women in Music Part 1.
I remember that.
You know, just a few episodes prior to this one, we mentioned that a woman, Hildegard of Bingen, was one of the first known composers.
Composers, yeah, absolutely.
And yet, Western music, aka tonal music, is riddled with the mention and the acclaim of male European composers.
Yeah, a bunch of dead white guys.
So we sought to address this in an episode dedicated to women composers.
Indeed.
And we went back as far as the 8th century Armenia, where a female composer, Kozroviduct, penned a piece called Wondrous It Is to Me. And that's all pre-Hildegard, right?
What year was it?
It was 8th century.
Yeah, roughly equivalent.
Yeah. Just in a different part of the,
Just a different part of the world,
Armenia, yeah. And then we also learned about Cassia out of the 9th century Constantinople.
Woo.
And then we got into Hildegard and also Comtessa de Dia
Yes.
in the Middle Ages.
Yes, the Countess of Day. Yeah, she was actually a female troubadour. Remember, we talked about the troubadours and troubadours. The Comtessa de Dia was a female troubadour. She has this really famous ballad from Robin Hood that's sort of sang from the perspective of Marion.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so women giving women a voice back in the day.
Yeah.
Very cool. And again, that was Middle Ages, 1150 to 1400 CE. But then we actually moved on to the Renaissance period in this episode, which is 1400s to 1600 CE.
Yep.
And we talked about Maddalena Casolana and Vittoria Eliotti.
Ooh, yeah.
Both out of Italy.
Yep.
A lot of women composers from Italy.
A lot of Italian women were sort of expected to learn keyboard instruments starting at some point.
Oh, wow.
The clavichord or something like that, or the harpsichord. Maybe not in the Renaissance, but still.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great episode, and I really enjoyed that one.
Oh yeah. We need to do part 2.
We did do part 2.
Oh, good.
And we'll talk about that.
Okay.
We need to do part 3. Hey, man, 150 episodes close to. Anyways, it's hard to keep up.
Run together.
I can't remember I have to go back sometimes and be like, did I do that episode? When I'm coming up with what I think are new ideas.
Yeah, I know we think about doing things, and then some of those things get done.
Some of them don't. So the next episode after that one was episode 82, which was Melodic Dictation Part 3. Mixolydian, and we just described the nature of these melodic dictations episodes, so we don't need to fuss with that. But basically, it's just rinse and repeat with the Mixolydian mode.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
My reason for going to the Mixolydian rather than the more common minor key or whatever is based on the number of accidentals outside the Ionian mode. You know?
Okay.
So for the same reason, I went to Dorian next rather than minor.
Right.
It's not a popularity contest. It's your training. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only one derivation from major mode in Mixolydian.
But anyway, that was a good one. Mixolydian mode. We learned that's the mode of bagpipes.
The mode of the bagpipes. It's the mode of a lot of rock and roll.
Many pop and rock classics are in that mode too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So check that one out for your Mixolydian ear training needs. Now, moving on to episode 83, practice, practice, practice.
Practice, practice, practice.
We've preached and preached on the virtues of practice, practice, practice.
Oh, yes.
Now we practice what we preach by bringing you these tools and methods for honing your craft.
And they were some good tools, I'm sure.
What I would call another fine special topics episode.
Oh, yeah.
We share some tips based on our own experiences and sum up a couple of useful articles from reliable sources on optimizing your practice time and training tips for adult beginners.
Yeah.
Which is a sizable portion of our listeners.
Right.
I'll go ahead and say. And then finally, we capped off the episode with a discussion on the 10,000 hours to mastery theory based on an article I found in Smithsonian Magazine.
Right.
Conclusion? You're just going to have to check out the episode. Wink, wink. But yeah, I think Matt summed it up. All right, moving on. Episode 84, Harmonizing a Melody.
Harmonizing a melody.
Yeah, it took us a while to get this one up. One of our good Patreon patrons, Anna Eastman out of Scotland, wanted advice on how to build chords around a melody.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that's a pretty common need among musicians.
Absolutely.
In her words, so let's say a tune is a simple 4/4 in D major and starts on the tonic. Easy enough to play a 1 chord on D major on the first note, but then what? Do you just play diatonic chords with the melody notes at the root of every one? And she's talking about beat 1, you know.
You can.
You can, sure. So if bar 2 starts on B, for example, should you then play the diatonic B chord that naturally occurs in D major? So that would be a B minor. And anyway, she continues, there's obviously more to it than that because those chords often don't sound right. Okay.
Indeed.
I just don't understand how to integrate the chord function. So we went into it based on some of our own experiences and studies. And Matt, do you want to kind of give a quick tease to our listeners based on your own composition techniques?
Sure.
That's a very loaded question. I know we're limited on time, but
Yeah. Well, I've always thought that there were certain chords implied by a melody. So just to sort of riff off her example there, if I'm in D major, and then right, and so I had a B on the first beat, the downbeat of that second phrase. If I went and then went to B minor there, that would sound a little weird, right?
yeah.
And that's because that melody is really more implying G, right? I could go to B there. That might be interesting. I'm a little freaky, guys. Sorry. How about that? That's a little bit, And so to me, there are chords implied by the melody, right? So you sort of sit there and think, okay, what chords what chords is this melody suggesting? Not just the first note on the downbeat, but all the notes of that measure up until the next chord change.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
But in that case, you're kind of saying that because there was less time and energy spent on the notes of the B minor within that passage,
Yeah.
you found it safer and more sensible just to stick around on G for a little bit.
Yeah. Now, there are no hard and fast rules to any of this, right? If you liked the sound of that B minor in a melody like that, go for it, right?
Yeah.
Theory will explain it later, I promise.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of generally what I like to try to do. Is sort of think, what are the chords that are being implied underneath this melody?
Yeah.
How often do I want to change those chords, which is something else that the melody can often tell me.
Yeah. Where do the notes happen on strong beats or weak beats?
Yeah.
That's also a factor.
Yeah. Assuming, if I'm composing, assuming that the melody has already been written, and also assuming that I don't want to change it if I like the chord better than the melody. Yeah.
Very good. Well, that was harmonizing a melody.
Indeed.
Now, episode 85, we get into the augmented sixth chords again for part 2 of that series.
People love augmented sixth chords.
They do. I'm learning to love them.
People see, and I say people, the internet, the internet seems to love augmented sixth chords because it seems like they just put forth as this clear-cut example of more music theory than you need, right? It's like, well, I don't know what an augmented sixth chord is or anything, but,
Yeah, you're not extreme enough, dude.
Right, yeah, like they're these highfalutin, super complex ideas, and they're really not. Not if you think about them chromatically. Then it becomes a lot easier to understand, I think. But
Well, let's talk about that. In episode 65, we talked about the 3 main kinds of augmented sixth chords, right?
German, French, and Italian.
And you want to give us a quick rundown one more time of that? We are recapping after all.
So, I have modulated a D major in this podcast.
Okay.
Every augmented sixth chord has 3 notes in common. They will have scale degree 1. They will have scale degree flat 6. Right? And they will have scale degree sharp 4. Now what happens is this flat 6 is going to move down to scale degree 5. This sharp 4 is going to move up to scale degree 5.
Okay.
And so in doing that, we set ourselves up for a 5 chord. These are predominant chords, right? And then, right?
Yeah.
So if you have just those 3 notes, then in your augmented sixth chord, you have an Italian augmented sixth chord.
Most basic kind, just the 3 notes.
Just the 3 notes. Sometimes the 1 will actually be doubled somewhere, so...
No problem there.
Yeah, no problem there. Right there. Sorry. A French augmented sixth chord is going to have those same 3 notes, 1, flat 6, sharp 5, and it is going to add a scale degree 2. It kind of has a French sort of sound.
That whole tony kind of French.
Yeah.
Mysterious.
So, still predominant functioning. Still moving to 5. Right? Most typically, that scale degree 2 will just stay where it is. Right? And become part of the 5 chord.
Yeah.
The 5th of the 5 chord.
Yeah.
So, if you have a German augmented 6, again, 1, flat 6, sharp 4, and flat 3.
Which has a more of a dominant feel.
Yeah, as we discussed earlier, has this propensity to be a 5/7 in some other key, a half step away. But failing that, right? 5 predominant. They have a tendency to go to 1/6/4 to 5 to.
And up to this point, we've been mainly referring to them as for their dominant function, right? But we learned in this episode that they can also be used beyond predominant function.
Predominant function, yeah. They are predominant functioning chords.
But what about it in the case of it being used as a neighbor chord?
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of cool,
When they call it an embellishing augmented sixth chord. Or one theorist I heard call that an embellishing augmented sixth chord at one point. In which you can sort of just sort of go... And then just kind of real quickly, sort of, right?
Yeah.
Kind of go there and back. Go to that augmented sixth chord, and then back.
Yeah. Passing chord.
Got
or neighbor chord.
Neighbor chord, yeah. Potentially passing chord too, actually. But yeah, it's kind of got a very Schubert-esque feel to me.
Yeah, we also talked about how sometimes we can throw other chords in between these augmented sixth chords and the dominant.
That can happen. The most common one being 1/6/4, which really kind of is the functioning dominant, right? You can throw a few different augmented sixth chords together in a row.
Yeah.
Right. So French augmented six to German augmented six to 5, because what you would just be doing, and then so French augmented 6. And then move that scale degree 2 up to flat 3. and then you end up at 5.
Nice.
So you can do that. There are other examples which I'm not remembering at the moment.
Well, we also talked about bass positions. This is a linear sonority with no root, right, Matt?
Pretty much.
So we talked about the benefits and effects of using different chord members as the bass voice.
Yeah, most common is the flat 6.
The moving...
Yeah, in the bass, the most common is the flat 6 moving down to 5.
Moving down to 5, okay.
Yeah, but you can also have sharp 4 in the bass moving up to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess having scale degree 1 in the bass can also happen.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know that I've ever seen that. And the 2 or flat 3, I don't think I've ever seen either. But
Aha.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but the most common really is the flat 6.
I wonder if it's like the equivalent of using the 7th in the bass. When we're talking about the 2 and the 3, like those extra notes.
Certain theorists, Koska, like to give inversion examples of everything.
Yeah. That's not always fun, is it?
Well, it's a question of what you see most often.
Yeah.
And what you see most often is the flat 6 in the bass. And the second most common is the sharp 4.
Yeah. Not based on what you should do, based on just what we've studied and noticed in other people's music, right?
Oh, yeah. Never telling you what to do. Theory never tells you what to do.
Never.
Not as a composer, no.
Anyways, for more on the augmented 6th chord, that's a good episode to cap off your knowledge on.
Definitely go check it out.
I don't think we did a part 3 of that. There's not much more to say.
We probably got those pretty covered at this point.
We'll find out as we continue these recaps, won't we?
Yeah.
So episode 86 was on syncopation.
Yes.
Now, we need to show more love to the rhythm aspect of music, and perhaps this was one effort.
Theory needs to show more love. Western theory needs to show more love.
Yeah, not us. Theory. The theory that we teach.
Yeah.
We define syncopation in accordance with Merriam-Webster's definition. A temporary displacement of the regular metrical accent in music caused typically by stressing the weak beat. Sound about right, Matt?
That sounds about right.
We gave some good musical examples of this in popular music, including jazz standards like All of Me.
Oh, yeah.
With that pesky quarter note triplet.
Ba, 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 ba,
Ba-da-da. That always messed me up as a student. That's by Marks and Simmons. And then we talked about another good example was Au Prévave by Charlie Parker, who I think is the king of syncopation.
Any of those bebop guys, yeah.
If you ask me.
Yeah.
But I think that was the one that's like, ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum,
oh, yeah.
bum, bum, ba-da-da-dum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
And on that note, in terms of pop, we had talked about Lowrider as a good example, the bass line to Lowrider.
Right, yeah.
Because if I'm counting 1, 2, 3, bum, da-dum, bump, 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 ba-da-da-da-dum, bump. See how the bumps are not on the snaps?
Not on right, exactly, yeah. And that's syncopation.
That's syncopation, y'all. To dig deeper into it, check out that episode. 86.
My band that I play in with our good friend Brian Malloy, we've sort of developed this shorthand of saying "come in on the and."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like, are we in on the and or are we in on the beat, right?
Yeah.
Because the and being, 3, 4, and right? It's that syncopation.
Yeah. That's a good way to,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
There's other ways to syncopate.
Do you want me in on the and or do you want me in on the
Yeah.
Sentences only musicians understand.
Or the E.
Or the E. I could come in on the E, man. It's a little weird, but...
Not to be confused with solfege. Okay. So that's syncopation.
Mm-hmm.
Cool stuff. Episode 87 was music and substance abuse. Though at the time, perhaps the furthest departure from our usual topics, we felt this was something worth discussion.
Absolutely.
And we noted that from the classical period to classic rock, many artists have struggled with substance abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Addiction dates back, way further than that and continues to thrive in the world of creatives and beyond.
Indeed.
So we kind of started as simple as nicotine and alcohol and moved on to marijuana and psychedelics. And we talked about how these substances work on your system as well as some unfortunate casualties in the music world.
There are those.
Who have fallen as a result of extensive use, And we may have shared a personal experience or two.
1 or 2.
And it's kind of a public service announcement, hopefully free of judgment, but also a very real discussion that is often swept under the rug.
And very much so.
Mm-hmm. So I've been thinking about part 2 and welcome any listeners bold enough to share their own experiences if you wish.
That's an idea.
This is a safe space.
Indeed.
For that kind of thing. But we got a little more serious on that. But we also had some light discussion as well.
True.
All right, so episode 88. We're plugging right along. We're going to try and get up to episode 100 here.
Nice. Well, we're almost there then.
30 episodes, man. Killing it. 88, back to theory. Altered chords, part 1. Now, this is one of those things that anyone learning pop or jazz music is going to come across, right?
Absolutely.
We've all seen those chord charts with weird things like add 9 or add 6 or maybe sus4.
Yeah.
Well, in this episode, we kind of break it down. Matt, you want to give us a quick little tease? What is a add 6 or add 9?
You just add the 6th above the root to the chord.
Show us a D major chord since we're in D.
We're in
today.
D major.
And now what's the add? Let's hear D add 9.
D add 9.
Just adding the
9th above the root, which would be a compound interval equivalent to the 2nd, but an octave up.
Very good.
Yeah. So.
And now when we do an add 6, we don't call it add 14 or whatever that would be, right? We just call it add 6.
Well, some people do actually.
And
some people
I might not
would call it an add what? An add.
A 9th is the 2nd, an 11th is the 4th.
Is the 3rd. No. A 9th is the 2nd, 11th is the 4th. 12 is the... So it'd be an add 13.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So, and some people would call it that, actually. So...
Yeah.
To me, that you're getting into... Because my brain works this way. To me, you're starting to imply polychordality at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, so, add 9, add 13. Well, put in what? Put in add 9, add 11, add 13. Mm-hmm. And you've just got 2 chords. You've got D minor up here and D major down here.
Yeah.
So, But, yeah, some people would actually do that. Good old common add 6 is below the octave, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You might also hear that called sus6. For sus, S-U-S, meaning not suspect, young people, but sus as in suspended.
But if it was a sus chord, then you would not be hitting the 5 at the same time. You would just be doing the 6, and then it would resolve to the 5, right?
In classical music. And that's where the term comes from. But in pop music, it's a little more anything goes. They sort of borrow the term, but the evolution was this is a chord theory thing of its own.
Let's hear a D sus4, shall we?
D sus4.
Since we just talked about that.
Now, in classical music, you can't do F sharp and G at the same time. This is a false relation, right?
Yeah.
So what you do is G sus4, resolving to 3.
Yeah.
Right. And that's actually very common.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, I added a sus2, but.
Yeah.
But again, in popular musics and American musics, I think that's kind of become, in jazz and stuff, that's kind of become okay.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the sus2.
Yeah.
Right. That's just the D chord with the E on it.
Mm-hmm. All 3 chord members plus the E.
Yeah.
We also cover extensions and the rules that typically apply. For example, the difference between the D add 9 and the D9 chord. You know what I'm saying? So in the D add 9, you would have a D chord, D F sharp A, and then add the E to it.
Right.
As the 9th, right?
Yeah.
In the case of the D9 chord, not add 9, but just D9 chord, you do have to include the 7th. So it has to include D, F sharp, A, C, right?
And E, yeah.
And then E. And you have to keep on stacking. They probably allow for omissions beyond that 7th.
Yeah,
right?
so the difference between D11 and D add 11, with D add 11, I can just pull that 11 out of thin air and add it to the triad. Mm-hmm. But if I say D11, then the assumption is I'm stacked D7, D9, D11.
Exactly.
Wow, cool.
How many fingers do you got,
10.
Yeah.
Nominally.
Last I checked. Well, that was a very stout episode, but a very useful one, a very practical one for all musicians.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have another history episode. Episode 89 was the blues, part 2.
Oh, I love the blues.
Yeah. In episode 64, we began a discussion on the blues by talking about its origins from Africa to the States and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the pioneers that brought us this music, such as W.C. Handy, father of the blues.
Indeed.
Ma Rainey.
And
Bessie Smith.
Me No Bedbug Blues.
Yeah.
I legit listen to that because I like it. Not like a scholarly, historical. No, that's like a good song.
Yeah.
Okay? Go listen to Mean Old Bedbug Blues.
Mean Old Bedbug Blues. Is that Bessie?
That's Bessie.
Okay. I can't remember. One was the queen and one was the mother. I think Ma Rainey was the mother. I think Bessie was the queen.
It was the queen of blues. That tracks.
But anyways, that was the blues part 1. On part 2 of this series, we began narrowing it down to regions.
Right.
More or less in chronological order, but also knowing that this order will soon break down.
Yeah.
As it was so widespread in many different
more
directions.
More or less, with the understanding that any chronological order of the blues is a more or less endeavor, right?
Yeah.
It's not fixed.
Right, because it you can't say it started in Texas and then moved to Chicago. It's kind of went from the Deep South to all different directions.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, this episode covered country blues, a.k.a. folk, rural, down-home, or backwoods blues, along with the musicians such as Charlie Jackson, Sarah Martin, and Sylvester Weaver, and then song catchers like Alan Lomax, who recorded them and shared their music, and the record companies that distributed them, and some of the drama that came with all that world.
Yeah.
And then the same deal with the Delta Blues in this episode, where we learned about Charlie Patton, Muddy Waters, and the mystique behind Robert Johnson.
Indeed.
And I learned a lot sticking that one together. That was a good episode.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so here we go. Episode 90, Meet the Area 47 Band. In March of 2020, we had ourselves a bit of an epidemic.
Yeah, there was a little thing that happened.
In case it's ever erased from the history books, listen to us. And know that
yeah.
it happened. It happened.
It happened.
The COVID-19 virus was a serious respiratory illness that threatened the lives of many, and many chose to quarantine themselves and bathe everything in disinfectant.
Yes, just in case you'd never heard of it. Because, hey, this is a podcast. It could exist for, 100 years, and there might be people who didn't.
That's what I'm hoping.
Live through COVID. And if you're one of those people.
I would love to think that. Wouldn't you love to think that?
Yeah, it was a epidemiological nightmare. It was a sociological bummer of epic proportions.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't recovered from that level of bummer.
It really hadn't.
Some of us didn't make it through.
Some of us absolutely did not make it through. The ones that did, we were stuck in our houses.
Mm-hmm.
We were forced away from each other. We social creatures that humans are.
Mm-hmm.
It was bad.
It was bad. Without knowing how to move forward at the time, we knew that we didn't want to be in the studio together, so we found Zoom.
Yeah.
And figured out how to use it, more or less.
More or less, yeah.
My wife, Heather, did the announcer voiceover for this episode.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want any people from the outside world.
Yeah.
And we released this episode from the Patreon archives. So if you've heard any of our episode bumper tracks, there's a good chance you might have heard the drums of Brian Malloy and Jerome Chapman's guitar.
Absolutely.
Or Jerry, as I call him. These gentlemen were good enough to sit down with me and talk about music and how much we love it, and also some of their favorite bumper tracks. And it was a good distraction from the world crumbling around us.
Which it was. And yes, it was a good distraction.
Yeah. And then for the same reason, when it comes to episodes 90, we had this kind of funny thing where we called it 90A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
And about after 3 months of the quarantine, we had figured out Zoom a little better. I didn't really want to release an official episode.
Yeah.
With that garbage quality from the Zoom audio. You know what I mean?
It was garbage.
It was garbage. And we really didn't know how long this epidemic was going to be,
Yeah.
So we dedicated these 3 episodes to answering listener questions and digressing on various other things music-related. And the audio versions of those are up on the streaming podcast feeds, but there's also YouTube videos for these 3 episodes, 90A, B, and C.
Wow.
And that's when you learn that we have faces for podcasting. But it was a lot of fun considering all that was going on.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. It was hard times for sure.
So episode 91, still locking it down for the pandemic, but also wanting to get the show back on the road.
Mm-hmm.
We resumed schedule at this point. Me in my studio, Matt in his home office with a better microphone. Remember that?
I do.
And my little H4 recorder.
I do remember all of that. I remember having to set up that mic in my not set up for that kind of computer at home.
So by this episode, maybe we're away from the crappy Zoom audio at least.
From audio at least,
yeah. This is our third Listener Compositions episode, and for many like myself, this pandemic stifled their creativity,
Yeah.
But not our listener composers, Bhatri Ramahan, Eamon Kelly, Jerome Chapman, our very own Jerome Chapman, Charlie Azulai, and Keith Andrews. And it was inspiring for me personally, and I'm sure for many others, just to hear their excellent work and stories they shared about their creative processes.
Absolutely.
And their beautiful music.
Indeed.
And as I say, Matt and I have many times admitted that these episodes are our favorites.
Indeed.
Composers. That was 91. Okay, episode 92. And again, on the heels of COVID. It's funny now that I'm looking back how much COVID really affected
there was a lot of COVID.
The show.
Yeah.
After about 7 months of the pandemic, we finally got our announcer back.
Yeah.
Mike, I recorded his VO in the backyard with my field audio kit. So we were still locking it down, but we got Mike back.
Yep.
And then also after 7 months of very little social interaction, many people found themselves struggling with mental health.
No kidding. I know I did.
Me too, man. And while some create quite well in these circumstances, many don't.
Right.
This episode included, but was not limited to, the COVID-19 experience. And we shared some of our listeners' experiences and some of our own. And then I found 3 good articles that we kind of broke down. One was the link between hardship and creative expression. Another was adversity and the creative mind, how we find pathways through the impossible. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 3, how to turn sadness into creativity. And I got a lot out of this episode, and we hope some of y'all did too. But yeah.
Yeah, that was such a, looking back now is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things we went through and the innovation, to do it the way we did.
Yeah.
Was it was wild. I still think I remember. I don't remember what episode it was, but I remember the first time we came back down into the basement and how much more normal it felt. It's just a.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if we even got that far within up to episode 100. I'm not sure we did.
I don't know either, because it was a long time, but I do remember that first time being, because it was after the vaccines came out,
mm-hmm.
and we both got vaccinated.
Yeah.
And then we kind of felt, okay, let's try to snatch back a little bit of normal now that we're inoculated.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good feeling being back down here.
Believe me, yeah. Feels great being down here now. It was
Absolutely.
Even better back then. Anyways, episode 93, we kind of decided to get a little bit back on the theory wagon.
Yeah.
And this was Form and Analysis Part 3, where we covered the sonata form.
And I think Jeremy wrote a sonata.
And I called it It's Not a Sonata, just in case. But I think it actually turned out to be a sonata.
Close enough.
Close enough. Thank you. What's the skinny on the sonata form, Matt, and the 3 main parts of said form?
The sonata form, which, so there's sort of the surface level understanding, and then there's the deeper stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the surface level understanding is that the sonata form is divided into 3 large parts.
Mm-hmm.
The first large part is the exposition,
mm-hmm.
in which we have a theme, a primary theme that is played, and then transitional material that usually modulates,
mm-hmm.
and a secondary theme that is played in a new key, and then a closing theme that is played in a new key.
Uh-huh.
And then all of that gets repeated. And then we move to the second big part, the development, in which keys are cycled through, usually in a circle of fifths pattern. And these 3 themes, really, the primary, secondary, and closing theme, are cut up and combined with each other and inverted and played with and in generally, sort of riffed on in a kind of way until we arrive back at the original home key for the final main part, which is the recapitulation, in which primary theme, transition, secondary theme, and closing theme are all played minus any modulation. So the recapitulation is all played in the tonic key.
Okay, the original key.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's the surface level understanding. There's deeper stuff here.
For deeper stuff, just listen to the episode.
Just listen to the episode,
if you even got that far.
I'm sure I get into it. Jeremy can't shut me up normally when you get me talking on something like sonata form that I really like.
Yeah. Well, we all hear that everywhere. This is sonata number blah blah blah.
Yeah.
This is what's a sonata? You know? There you go.
Yeah, well, the genre sonata, as in sonata in D major or whatever, that actually came before the term sonata form. The term sonata form began in the 19th century as a way to sort of make fun of them for all being in the same form.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, there you go.
Well, we don't talk a lot about forms, and maybe I think we've
talked a lot about form actually.
Yeah, I think
we're just getting now into sort of the more advanced ones. Rounded we talked about binary and rounded binary and rounded continuous binary and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And sonata form is actually a growth out of rounded continuous binary, but that's sort of the deeper stuff.
Yeah, and I think we might have even done one on rondo. And if not,
I remember the one on rondo.
Okay,
yeah,
we did do rondo. Good. Okay, we're kind of like figuring out what we're doing.
We're so old.
We're listening. Yeah,
we're sitting around. It's like, did we do that one?
We got cobwebs.
Yeah, it's like seems like I remember talking about that.
Let me flip through my notes.
Yeah, and then did we do it on the podcast or did we just talk about it?
Yeah. At the neighborhood tavern.
Yeah, right. Because this is what Jeremy and I often, the kind of stuff we talk about when we're just hanging out. Slightly more ordered, slightly, but yeah.
You shut those microphones off. We'll keep going.
Who was it that told us sort of recently that's like, wow, it's like listening to the podcast, listening to you two have a beer together?
Oh, probably Sharon.
It could have been Sharon or maybe Brian or
Brian. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so moving on, shall we?
Yes.
Episode 94 was Instrument Care Part 3, Brass. Now, by now, we had covered instrument care on strings and voice. That was part 1 and part 2.
And so time to move on to brass.
And man, there's a lot to keeping up with those instruments. We kid you not.
They're hard. They take some maintenance.
This episode focused on the tuba, trombone, euphonium, trumpet, and horn.
The main brass instruments.
Mm-hmm. And we discussed all the main parts of these instruments and how to clean them and to achieve the best tone possible.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, you got fingerprints, soft, damp cloth with a dash of furniture polish.
Yeah.
If the polish contains wax or silicone, it will reduce water spots.
Yeah.
You got tarnishing issues? Get yourself a silver polished cloth infused with dry polish and wipe it down. These are just like the Cliff Notes, right?
These are the Cliff Notes, yeah. Go back and listen to the episode for...
But if you don't have time, avoid extended sunlight exposure. Keep it in the case when not in use.
Yep.
That helps with the sunlight thing too, and probably humidity.
Yep.
Also keep your instrument in an environment that is about 65 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yep.
Which is 18 to 26 Celsius.
Yep.
I ran the conversions. You're welcome, my European friends. Anyone outside the United States. And then around 50% humidity. And internal care involves much oiling and swabbing, sometimes with a cleaning snake. And boy, there's a lot to it.
There's a lot to it.
I guess people who play horns that are still playing them are really dedicated because they know all the maintenance that goes into it, and they still do it.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Good for them.
Hey, we love those sounds. Somebody's got to do it.
And, is there any more requirements to our instruments, or are we just more used to it?
I just changed my strings and polished the body, with the soft, wet cloth.
There you go.
There's probably more I could be doing.
I know there's more I could be doing.
But it would be way less than a brass person for sure, whatever I'm doing. But for more details, check out episode 94 because we had some fun on that one too.
We did.
As we always do.
Yes.
Now, episode 95 was on orchestration part 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that was strings. And actually, it was a 2-part episode that we also did in a row.
Yes.
Part 1, strings part 1 and strings part 2 were episodes 95 and 96.
Yeah.
Orchestration is the art of choosing the right instruments and the proper balance thereof for a composition, right?
It pretty much, yeah.
In this episode, part 1, we give an introduction to the string family, mainly as they relate to orchestral works.
Sure, yeah.
And so that's the contrabass, the cello, the viola, and the violin.
Indeed.
We talk about numbers and portions. Do you remember a rundown of the numbers and portions recommended?
So in a modern orchestra, 10 to 12 first violins playing one violin part, 10 to 12 second violins, which are they're the same instrument, they're just playing different parts.
Yeah.
8 to 10 violas, 8 to 10 cellos, and then 5 to 8 double basses or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And we talk a bit about the construction and the note ranges on these instruments, you know?
Oh, yeah. And that's a whole big thing.
And when you say first violin, second violin, first chair, second chair, the first chair is the one that sits closer to the audience, right?
Yes.
And then the second chair typically turns the page for the first chair. So the first chair is probably a little bit more experienced or maybe a better reader.
Yeah. Or better at playing orchestra politics, whatever.
and then the second chair has a slightly less complicated part because they have to do the page turning.
The chairs will all be playing the same part.
Yeah. Okay.
So the big separation between violins 1 and violin 2 is actually range. So more often the violins 1 are playing the higher part.
Okay.
And then violins 2 play a lower part.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but there's not really, and I guess in some string quartets and things, traditionally, you might think of the violin 2 parts as being not as complicated and not requiring as virtuosic as a player. But in the modern world, I don't really think that's true. I think they're pretty equally complex, unless you just happen to be playing Haydn or something.
Okay, all right. Well, that was strings part 1, orchestration, and then on part 2, we, as you imagine, we go a little deeper. We begin talking about fingering and positioning. Matt, why would a composer even need to worry about fingering and positioning?
Well, because when a violin player hands you a part and says, "I can't play this," that's awkward for everybody.
Like, I can't physically play this.
I cannot physically do what you've. Yeah, that's hard. That's awkward for everybody. So. You don't have to learn to play the violin to compose for it, but you do probably ought to know the basic, the basic fingering positions and the basic operations as to how the instrument is played. Same goes for viola, cello, double bass, and really any other instrument you want to compose for. Know the basics of what's going on.
Sure, yeah. Range at the very least.
Range at the very least, and really especially and with string instruments. Basic fingering too, just to avoid them saying I can't play this, right? And for guitar, be a guitar player. Just learn to play guitar if you want to write for guitar. Just be a guitar player. There's no
hard fast rules or
there's no generalities that are going to be easy to apply to guitar. So
Well, in this episode, we also continued our discussion on technique, and we kind of moved on to stops. Double, triple, and quadruple?
Indeed. Yep.
Quadruple? How can you get a quadruple stop on a rounded out instrument like a...
when the strings are not on the same level or in an arc shape? And
you got to really bear down on those things.
Yeah, the TLDR is you can't really, but you can do an arpeggio. You can do a kind of rake. Right? Kind of thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then we also discussed terms such as vibrato, glissando, portamento.
All those good string techniques.
And what those all mean.
Yep.
And then we kind of got into bowing tips and techniques and effects such as pizzicato, mutes, and harmonics.
Yeah.
All kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.
And then finally we devote a deeper discussion into not only the ranges of these instruments, but the timbres that result from your choice of strings for certain notes.
Yeah. Wow, we really got into that.
AKA bright, dark,
Yeah.
So yeah. We covered a lot on those.
I really do give away a music education on this podcast.
We really do.
That sounds like my orchestration class.
Yeah. Oh, I think we took it straight from your notes.
Wow, that's probably why it sounds like That's probably why it sounds like
I need something to make the notes off of, Okay, we're getting close here. You ready? Next up is 97, Women in Music Part 2.
Where we covered probably, from Baroque to... Maybe got up to the Romantic era or the 20th century?
Yeah, this was March of 2021, so a year after the COVID thing,
Mm-hmm.
And in the States, March is known as Women's Month, right?
Yep.
So it seemed appropriate to honor our good ladies with this episode.
Indeed.
Part 1, previously discussed, took us from the 8th century to the Renaissance period.
Yes.
But now, like you say, we continue with the Baroque period featuring Francesca Cassini.
Oh, yes.
Out of Florence.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara Strozzi.
Barbara Strozzi.
Out of Venice.
Mm-hmm.
And composer and archivist, Princess Anna Amalia of Prussia.
Wow.
Remember her?
Yeah.
Out of Prussia. I guess that's modern-day Germany, right?
I think.
And then we moved on to the classical period with Marianne Martinez out of Vienna.
Yes.
Maria Anna Mozart out of Salzburg.
Yeah.
And just like the name implies, she was a 5-year older sister than her brother Wolfie.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And a great inspiration to his musical journey, it turns out.
Not many people know that.
He looked up to his sister. And finally, we topped it off with Mary Jane Guess out of Somerset, England. And again, just like I said, women composers from these timelines never really got a lot of mention. So
yeah.
In these episodes, we attempt to correct that.
Indeed.
So check that out.
There are others that we didn't even get to. Francesca LeBrun.
Yeah, part 3 is coming up.
Yeah. Part 3 is going to have like Kaya Sarayaho and...
oh, dude, we'll take it all the way up to modern day, man. Wendy
Amy Beach.
Wendy Carlos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jennifer Higdon.
Yeah.
Going to be fun.
Heart.
Heart.
Fleetwood Mac.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, man. We'll bring in Colin for that. He's a big Taylor Swift
We
fan.
have to. He's a huge fan. Yeah.
Colin's our other musician friend. We've had him on the show for the episode 47 was
guitar.
It was songwriters.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, Women in Music Part 2. Fun episode and very informative. Okay, so episode 98, we had yet another harmonic progression episode. That was part 8, where we actually focused on the 7 of 3 and the 7 of 6.
Right. Secondary 7th chords, just off 3 and 6.
Correct, yes. Just focusing on those mediants, submediants. I love those, as I've mentioned a million times.
Oh, yeah.
Let's hear what I was up against, Matt. The big question was, can we use this in a deceptive cadence? I remember that being a big thing.
Yeah.
Can we do that? Okay, so it's like if you want to do a 7 of 1, but then you go to 6. Or a 7 of 2 and you go to 7, or whatever the...
If you're talking about fully diminished 7 chords, then yeah, probably.
Yeah. I think I am.
Half diminished 7 chords, less so, because because there's a minor 7th in those, there is a discernible root to a half diminished 7 chord.
Mm-hmm.
It's the top note of that second.
It doesn't have that same portal effect we were talking about earlier.
Right, yeah.
Very good. Well, it seems like logic dictated that we follow up with more on the fully diminished 7th chord.
What? Yeah, well, speaking of the fully diminished 7 chord.
Like I said, we spent a lot of time talking about that. Maybe COVID drove us crazy or something like that. We just wanted to make sure that we covered everything that we possibly could on this most versatile and amazing chord.
And this is the fully diminished 7 chord is one of those subjects when you're teaching theory that students will give you some WTF looks, trying to wrap their brain around all of this.
Yeah.
So,
well, again, we discussed it as a secondary 7, right? Mm-hmm. We follow that with how it can be used as a common chord of a modulation.
Indeed.
Which we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like this is kind of a recap episode itself.
It might be a little bit.
And then a common tone, fully diminished 7th chord.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, okay. Tell us about that.
You can take any note and just build and keep that note. I'll keep E.
Yeah.
And then just build a fully diminished 7 chord out of it. So, and then go back. So.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that kind of thing before.
Yeah, and you can build it off of any of those notes from that chord, and then you just come right back. It's a little neighbor chord decoration embellishment kind of thing.
Right. And then earlier we just talked about its use in harmonic modulations, right? What about as a contrapuntal element?
It essentially is a contrapuntal element, just like everything else. But because what you are doing is moving. So like if I'm an E minor, and I am right. I am moving B down to B flat, while also sort of splitting this voice, and then these two notes are going to converge back on B, right? B flat and D flat. So in that sense, it is a contrapuntal element. You're not moving to a different chord. You're just sort of moving the contrapuntal lines up and back.
Is that a similar thing to the neighbor situation? Or
Yes.
What? Yeah, very much?
Yeah, they're neighbor notes.
Yeah.
They're neighbor notes. That's what makes it a contrapuntal element. It's not really changing the harmony. The harmony would still be that E minor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's more understandable as a contrapuntal element.
Kind of an embellishment.
Which, if you wrote a theory book where you've been talking about chords for 400 pages, you have to explain that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you bother to mention counterpoint at some point, you don't really have to explain that. It just makes sense.
Good thing we mentioned counterpoint, huh?
Good thing we mentioned counterpoint. Not that I rant about theory textbooks or anything.
No. This is kind of a new. What's this new mat I'm seeing here? We could do a recap on your wrath. For certain theories.
One of these days, I'm going to call these guys out.
Yeah. Let me tell you what I really think. Okay. Finally, closing up this episode with episode 100.
With episode 100.
Recapping episode 100, a.k.a. The Big Digression. That was a milestone for the show,
Yeah, well, 100 episodes, absolutely.
We celebrate by talking a little bit more about us on our crew.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, Jerry, and Brian. Mike, our announcer, Jerry, our guitar player, Brian, our drum player.
Indeed.
And some of the projects we were working on at the time.
Yeah.
And I shared a fun story about my pets and music. And we gave an update to some of the music apps we'd previously discussed.
Yep.
And then we talked about the theory sequence as it relates to academia and where we were at that point in the show, which would be closer to theory 4.
Yep, yeah, uh-huh.
And then we capped off the show with a handful of bloopers from that episodes, from past episodes. And then finally talked about moving forward and what our aspirations, might be for the future of the show.
Yeah, I want to go back and listen now and compare our aspirations to...
Oh, yeah, like did we even follow through any of them?
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering, too. I wasn't going to say anything about this, but I think I'll say something about it. Mike, our announcer, has recently been through some tough times. His mother passed away.
I'm so sorry.
And his father is also ill and needs to undergo a procedure. And he can't right now because they both have COVID. So Mike can't help him out. And he can't get in there until his COVID is gone. So if you guys believe in the power of prayer or positive energy vibrations, please send them to our good announcer, Mike. If he's not on this episode, that might explain what's going on.
Yeah.
But not to bring it down on that note, but I did want to put that out there.
Yeah, and hope things are going better soon, Mike.
And if you have anything nice you want to say to him, you can email it to us at info@musicstudent101.com, and I'll be sure it gets to him.
Absolutely.
Now, closing out, love you, Mike. Closing out, we look forward to another 100 episodes.
Cannot wait. Well, we're 50 in.
We're well on our way. Well on our way. Episode 150 is coming up, and that'll be another listener compositions episode.
Yeah.
And the next one should get us caught up. Well, I'm hoping to do at least one more of these before episode 150.
Yeah, I would like to do another great digression at 200. How about that?
Let's make that our goal.
Let's make that our goal. We'll do another great digression at 200.
But anyway, maybe once we get caught up with these digressions. Oh. Maybe once. What's that?
We're leaving that in.
Yeah, we're leaving that in. Freudian slip.
Yeah.
But anyways, once we get caught up with those recap episodes, maybe we can do one every 30 episodes.
Yeah.
Or something like that, just to keep us up
to date, yeah. One more recap and we'll be pretty close to there, so.
Sound good to you guys?
Yes, let's hope so.
Sounds good to me.
And in the meantime, thank you so much for continuing to listen and to support us.
Yeah.
In this little endeavor of ours that we get a lot of good out of, I know, and we hope you do too.
Yeah, likewise, yeah. And Matt, let's go get you that birthday drink.
Let's go get me a birthday drink.
Woohoo!
Woo!
We hope you enjoyed that little review. And we look forward to continuing to discuss all things music with you, our fine listeners. For ways to support us, check out the donate page of our website, musicstudent101.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share from wherever you are listening. And for questions or comments, write us at info@musicstudent101.com.